From life-threatening battles to being invited as a speaker at United Nations, from stage performances despite hearing loss, to winning patency case against a pharmaceutical giant, from being featured in medical journal The Lancet to having her portrait hung in Oxford Hall. Episode 4, Part 2, The Triumphs, on Warrior Voices with Sangita.
Nandita, can you walk us through your role in the Bedaquiline patent case against Johnson and Johnson's, uh, and
So,
what that victory against them meant for TB patients worldwide? You know, and before that, can you also give us a quick insight into what is the importance of that drug for tuberculosis patients?
yes. The Bedaquiline is first of all to tell you that after I came out in one or two lines after I came out of my illness, I began working because I was having a hearing I have a hearing impairment. I wanted that start securing myself financially, so I started working. I started I'm working full time, but I felt that okay, maybe along the way, if I can do something to understand, because more than anything I was trying to seek answers to questions that were bothering me, that why did I lose my hearing, for example, or what happened, why did I end up losing the hearing. It is not, I felt that it is not, it could be luck, yes, but there is a deeper science maybe involved to it that I want to understand, or there are deeper factors at play that I think I would want to understand about my disease itself. It could be for anyone's disease. Let's say that you went through cancer, so you may want to understand that okay, how does this disease play out, what is it, how bad it is, how much prevalent it is, or how, what has been the progress in terms of bringing a cure to the disease. So these were questions that were on my mind, that were on my mind for a while now, when I got cured. And that is when I reached out. I got very active on Twitter, and I got very active on social media, and I started writing about what I went through. So I would put up posts, and I realized, and that was the very first time in 20, if I'm not wrong, in 2015. So you can imagine I got my TB for the first time in 2007, and it was, I had a relapse, reinfection after 4 years. And in 2015, for the very first time, I spoke about it, and I put up a photo of a dance performance I had given, and that was the first time I mentioned that okay, I was battling TB, and that was the first time. So I remember that there was a lot of apprehension I was feeling. Okay, should I mention? But then I realized that okay, now I'm done. It's okay. I would like to now inform people that yes, this is why I was not visible at all. Like, because I was absolutely, people were wondering, is she like, what has happened to her? Is she? There's no, she's not working. She's not doing anything. 3 4 years, no one has any idea what I am up to. I was not having a job or anything at all. So there were a lot of people were wondering lot of insane things as well, that what is going on with her and things like that. So then I felt that I should now tell that okay, this is what had happened. I was having this TB, and it was very very bad. And then I reached out to people who work in the sphere of health. I reached out to doctors. I reached out to people who are working in the who are TB researchers, who are TB experts, and then I spoke infectious disease experts broadly, and then to them I would read up what they are writing, and then I realized that what I went through, there is a lot more of science behind it that I had no idea at all about. And then that is when I started getting into this work of trying to do some advocacy around it, or do some policy related work around it, advocacy work around it, because I realized that it is not something that I'm maybe like a tiny speck in a very big picture that many people are going through. So that is when then I did started speaking up about it. And then this through during this fear of my work, we there were that was the time we saw that there was a lot of we were starting to see newer medications for TB. The
Mm.
TB research had nearly stalled for almost 40-50 years. So you can imagine, after kanamycin and the streptomycin that came out years ago, after that there was very little research that was happening in terms of getting newer medicines, in terms of getting newer drugs. And
Mm.
because of that, we were still having these very old and very toxic medications, which will not be acceptable. Like, for and simply tell you, let's say in today, if someone got COVID, because COVID is something so recent, it happened only 3, 4, 5 years back now that the COVID virus came into our lives. Can you imagine that medicine out there is for COVID, where people en masse start losing their eyesight, or start they don't be not being able to hear? This will not be acceptable today at all. For Because today, you say that today science has advanced to the scientific advancements had happened, that they will want that that these kind of medications are not there, that leave you with such long term, permanent, irreversible side effects. But
Mm.
in TB, unfortunately, the research has been very slow, and it is similar
Mm.
to a lot of other diseases as well. Even in cancer, for example, that there's a lot of work going on in improving the chemotherapy, in seeing that we are having better
Mm.
options for
Mm.
chemotherapy,
Mm.
whether it is radiation or
Yeah.
whether it is having therapy medicines that are not
Hormonal
so.
treatment, now they have started every time something new, or the something new comes up every time. I mean, whether it's successful or not, but they do have, yeah.
Yes, so that also those are all after years of not, cancer is now seeing that kind of, thankfully they are getting that attention, that okay, we need to start getting better treatments that are not so taxing on someone. That your life does not completely halt for years together. So similarly, even for TB, we didn't have like many good medications except for these ones, which caused my loss of hearing. And then we had this 2 or 3 new medications that came around, and one of them was Bedaquiline, which was by pharmaceutical company Johnson and Johnson. Very
Mm.
good medication, in fact. Because, and kudos to them that they brought out this, they invested the money needed to research and get these medications. So these medications, kanamycin is seen as a replacement to the sorry, Bedaquiline is
Bedaquiline.
seen as a replacement, yeah, is seen as a replacement to kanamycin.
Okay.
It is exactly, if kanamycin is given as an injectable form, bedaquiline can be taken as a tablet. It has lot lesser side effects,
Okay.
absolutely very very limited side effects, not these kind of life altering side effects. Every medicine at the end of the day comes with side effects, that is there, that is not going away. But the gravity of side effects, in terms of how much bad or how much it can alter your life. So
Mm.
bedaquiline it was seen as a much safer medicine compared to
Mm.
kanamycin. So,
Mm.
but it was evident that the number of the people, there's a huge need for a medicine like this, but the number of people who were having access to it was still very limited after a lot, so many years. There was almost It was almost 7 to 8 years since they had launched it in India, and then we were seeing that still there were only a few thousands who were getting this medicine. And one reason was that the cost of medication is quite high, and it was very high at that time. Nearly it was 65,000 for a 6 month course, which is,
Okay.
do you know that not many people will be able to afford that kind of 65,000 for 6 months is not easy for most
Eh,
people.
yeah.
Uh, so 65,000 for 6 months is, it will be it, and that too only for one medication. You are taking so many other medications, or you have so many other tests, etc., to be done. So the cost of medication was high, and
Mm.
the access was limited.
Mm.
And then, we realized that, I spoke to doctors, I spoke to experts, I asked them that is the situation really correct, or is this how it will be, or is there something, is there a remedial measure that can be taken to, that at least something we can do at our level to fix this? So that is when we got to know that the Johnson and Johnson was filing what we called as a secondary patent. So it means that every company, when any discovery that happens, a company is given for any medical discovery also, across all diseases, a company is given a patent for 20 years, which is absolutely correct, because after all it is their invention. They have to make money out of it, they have to make profit out of it, all that. You cannot deny the economics of it and say that after all they are putting in their money, they also have to earn their profits from the medication.
Correct.
But what happens is that they were trying to extend this 20-year period to another 4 more years in certain countries, including India, in mostly in developing countries, including India, where they were saying that beyond these 20 years, we'll try and seek an extension for 4 years. So this 4-year extension was what we tried to stop by filing an application with the Indian Patent Office, which falls under the Ministry of Corporate Affairs in India. And we filed a secondary application with the help of lawyers who are expert IP lawyers. And I was the one, me and one more girl, we were the one heading it and we were the one leading it. And the lawyers, they helped us draft the application and they file it. They filed the application in the patent office to say that we object this 4-year extension. That is being sought, because say in simple economic terms, what you say as the risk versus benefits. So the risk of keeping the drug away for another 4 years could be a lot more than the benefit of granting that 4-year extension. The risk is that there are patients who are now needing this medicine because it is seen as a good alternative to kanamycin. So it should be available to a lot more people. So this is the broad rationale behind it, of why we filed. And then we
And
won
you
the
won. You
case.
won the case, yes. So
Yeah, we won the
congratulations to
case in
you.
20.
Yeah. Nandita, you
Yeah,
were just mentioning just now that you did stage performances despite despite having your hearing loss, despite your hearing loss. So, like, what role did that play in your healing and self-expression? How
I
did
think
you manage to do that?
a very big role, in fact, because uh, for me it was my way of asserting and telling myself that I'm not a bag of waste sitting around. To put it very crudely, it was my way of telling myself that okay, I'm not a pile of waste and a good for nothing sitting around, who's becoming a big pile of burden on everyone. Despite the laws of hearing, it is possible that there's some activity I will be able to do, and that it is I'm not someone who is just consigned to being on bed, or that I'm not someone who's just destined to only be on bed, or only lead a very bleak life, or things
Mm,
like that. So
mm,
for me that, and I have learned Bharatanatyam since the age of 7.
mm,
I started learning Bharatanatyam, and then Bharatanatyam dance is something that I really like. I'm very passionate about dancing. I really like dancing because it really energizes me up. And then when I lost my hearing, I realized that I may not be able to dance anymore. So that was a big shocker for me, that dance is something that can really pull up my spirits on the worst days. But that activity is also now gone away from me. So what is my alternate now? What is my outlet now? What do I have now with me? Is there any purpose of
mm,
now living at all when so many of my outlets have been taken away from me?
mm,
So that is when then that was my initial month's reaction, was like this, that I can't dance. But then I think I saw that there were I read up about the fact that there are people who can't hear and they give performances as well. So people who are hearing impaired, and they give performances, and there are actually sessions and classes that happen. Not I saw some videos from the UK and from the US on YouTube, and that is when I realized that there is this paradigm as well, that it is possible that you can do. The only thing is you have to retrain yourself differently. So I
Mm.
would convert, because I could not listen to the music at all at one point. Today I wear something called as cochlear implants, but
Mm.
almost for 6 years after I lost my hearing, I didn't have any cochlear implants at all. So I was complete silence. I could not hear anything at all. So I would convert the music into numbers. So saregama padanisa, I would convert it into 1 2 3 1 2 3 4, and then I would memorize those numbers and the steps, and then I would perform. So this
Mm.
was a technique that I found online when I read up, and I realized that I read up about ballet dancers who couldn't hear and they used
The
this technique.
dancing.
And then
Mm.
and then I asked my dance teacher. She was the one who told me that my dance teacher was pushing me that you come, don't be in your shell. You have not stepped out of home at all. And I was very scared to face people at that time.
Mm.
I didn't want to like answer any questions, why
Mm.
my hair has become short, because I was sporting a boy cut. So I didn't
Mm.
know, or when they talk to me, I will not be able to answer because I cannot hear. So I said,
Mm.
I don't want all this. But it's my dance teacher told me that you just come out, you have to give this performance.
Mm.
So then that is when I did the dance performance, and then I converted the music into numbers, and I gave performances that way.
So kudos to you for being such an
Thank you.
inspirational person. Yeah, you must have inspired so many when you did that. So and you were named in Time's 100 Emerging Global Leaders. So what did that mean
Yeah.
to you personally and professionally? When I mean that's such a big thing, Nandita. So how
Uh,
yeah.
yes. So this is by the Time magazine in America. So they bring out the Time magazine brings out every year. They are the popular list is the 100 list, where they list out 100 leaders. Everyone we have our prime ministers, we have actors, Priyanka Chopra, etc., Amitabh, Deepika, whoever you name it. So they have these 100 list that is there. The 100 leaders who they think at a given year, and they have another list that is called as 100 next, that is the 100 the next 100 who can join the 100 at some point. So they in that 100 next in 2023, they had named me and another and my fellow TB survivor who had fought the patent case
Patent
with
case.
me. So
Mm.
yeah, so the two of us, we were there. It was honestly, it was quite a surprise, because the people had. I remember that the people from the magazine had just reached out for a very casual conversation. They didn't at no point mention that they have this list, and I didn't even bother, because I just know that there's a Time 100 list. That's it. I didn't follow that they have a Time 100 next, and they have some other set of lists. So they reached out for a very casual conversation, and then I remember that they said that we want to set up a call with you, and we want to speak to you about leadership. So and then we had a 40-minute call with about two or three people who were on the panel. At no point I never knew that it was something for this. I just felt that they are possibly doing some maybe some kind of they're just tracking what are the key events that has happened globally, and maybe they want to understand what was the case that I fought, or what was it. Because it was being talked about on a lot of platforms, the fact that we won this, and
Mm.
that and that it could be a game changer for a lot of
Mm.
TB patients.
Mm.
So yeah, so then they asked me, I remember, questions around what is leadership, how do you see how do you define leadership, what do you see, what are the qualities in a leader. And then I think a couple of weeks later, almost 2 or 3 weeks later, I receive an email that congratulations, you're on the Time 100 next list. And I was like, what? Wow, what is this?
Well
What is
deserved that,
this? Oh,
Nandita. Well deserved. You
yes,
you were
and
also
I was
yeah.
I was in awe. Yes, I remember it was in office, I was working, and then suddenly I see this email, and my first reaction was that, okay, this could be a spam. So I thought I'm going to delete this email. So that was my first reaction. I felt this is the कुछ तो spammer ने भेजा है
Mm.
message, इसको भी delete कर दो अभी. So, and then I thought, oh God, I could see the lady's email who had spoken to me on call. So then I messaged her and I asked her, is this like, did you send this email actually? And then she said, yes, it is for this. And then I said, okay, great. Okay, wow.
It was well deserved. And you were also invited to speak at the United Nations General Assembly in 2018. So, what was the message that you gave there to the world on that day?
I think the message that I always this is a message that got the standing ovation at the end. This is the line. My closing line was that I cannot hear you today, but I'll make sure you hear me loud and clear. So this was the closing line that I said,
Awesome,
and I
awesome,
think
awesome, awesome.
so
So,
that was
yeah,
so
and
that
you
was the
did make
part.
people stand up and hear you, yes, and many people must have benefited with what you have taken upon yourself to fight for. And
So yes, it was just that the United Nations speech also just happened in the sense that I got to know that they were hosting this high level meeting with the heads of states and health ministers, and at that time some a very senior member at the World Health Organization, she put my name for it, and they were picking a bunch of people who had a first hand lived experience. They were a couple of people's name they had shortlisted, and then I think then they had a word with us saying that, okay, we want to speak to all of you. And then I think after that they picked me. So
mm,
yeah, so I
mm,
think that was it was definitely very interesting that way. It was in 2018. I was like not even 30 years at that time. So
mm,
before the 30, one thing you don't imagine is that, okay, you will go and speak at the UN.
United
So
Nations.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so it was definitely it was an interesting experience. So I
Mm,
was not. It happened. Uh, I was thinking of a nice word play that I would like to do some interesting word play over there and grab people's attention. That they should get the message now what I'm trying to say.
mm,
So on flight, it was a long flight to New York, and it was on flight
mm.
that I that I came up with this line.
What kind of pushback or challenges have you faced in your advocacy journey? Did you find any resistance of, when you were fighting for your patent case? We,
Yes, I think that there were pushbacks. It's just about how you sort of be persuasive in your communication and explain your point of view very clearly, very in a very well grounded method, with backed by facts and backed by science. Explain to the naysayers that what you're doing is not something that is incorrect. I don't think through the journey of the advocacy work I didn't face many pushbacks. But in fact, most people were very welcoming that way, because they felt that there were not many people with first hand experience, and also with a solid understanding of the science and research, who were talking up.
mm,
So
mm,
that they felt that this is a very vital gap that is there, that someone who's not just talking out of emotion, but someone who has that emotional connect, but is also bringing in but research, and is also bringing in facts, is also bringing in science. So someone who can combine the two and put across a point persuasively. A lot of
mm,
people felt that that was not happening. So either it is on one end that people are very emotive, that, oh my God, I went through this, or extremely emotionally charged up, or the other side is that where people are just cold and dry and just state the facts without seeing that there is a human face to any disease. Every disease is behind the science. There is a very big human face. There are actual humans who are going through problems. So yeah, so I think that way there were pushbacks, yes. But most of them, I think, ultimately, when you can persuasively communicate your point, they will eventually come to your side.
Hmm. So, one more thing I wanted to ask you is do you think it is important to talk about antimicrobial resistance and access to affordable
Okay.
medicine today, especially like for us in India?
Oh yes, distance is extremely important, and it is a very big growing problem, and it is not just the thing is that the problem, to simply put it, antimicrobial resistance means that your existing medications, your existing antibiotics, because that every antibiotic, at some point your body gets resistant to it,
Resistant to
as
that.
in it may not work with the same ferocity that it would work, say, 2 decades or 3 decades before, because your body at some point will start adapting to those antibiotics, and it may not be as effective in in treating the disease. So that is what has happened with a lot of diseases now, including
Oh.
TB, a lot of infectious diseases,
Mm.
including TB, including malaria, typhoid. Even during COVID also, it was an emerging concern during COVID. So what is needed is that there are two parts to the situation. One is that your existing medications could run out, and it is very much happening because your existing medications have gotten weaker. They are no longer responding as strongly as they should against a disease. And the second aspect is that to stop that, we need newer medications. Now the newer medications are also very few and far between. Like say, for TB there is Bedaquiline. It's just one or two or just a couple of them. But what we need is a lot more newer medications, and a lot more, the pipeline of medications need to be a lot more to
Mm.
tackle this. So there were two problems here, and the thing is that antimicrobial resistance or any of these,
Or
it has a very
in layman's word, we can say drug resistance, right?
exactly. Yeah, it is drug resistant. Simple.
Yeah.
So, and it is not just the thing is, India today has a very growing population of diabetes. We are having a lot of people, even with a lot of, we have people who are having diabetes, who are having heart problems, and because of that, the immunity, these diseases also suppress your immunity, and a lot of people with diabetes could also be exposed to, say, at the risk of getting a TB. So that is very much, that is also a very big issue. So, and in TB, you have all these antimicrobial, drug resistance problems. So,
Mm.
the point I'm making is that it is no longer a problem that is confined to only, say, a very small population, that okay, जिनको TB, malaria and ये infectious diseases हुए हैं, सिर्फ उनको ही antimicrobial resistance का risk है. People जिसका भी immunity थोड़ा सा भी suppressed है, anyone who has immunity suppressed because of any other disease, it could be diabetes, it could be any of the other non-communicable diseases also, there also the risk of antimicrobial resistance is getting unfortunately higher. So yes, it is a big problem. It is an issue that is thankfully gaining more ground, and there's a lot of talk around it. But yes, of course, more needs
Mm.
to be done at any point.
So, can you just also share with us your experience at Oxford? You got a full scholarship, right? So,
Yes, yes, yeah.
how did that shape your
Yes,
perspective in life?
yes. So I received a full scholarship to study a master's, and I was, of course, to be very honest, that uh, without this full scholarship, I would don't think I would have been in a financial position to go on my own on my funds, because I was just about come out of a very difficult experience with health, which involves a lot of medical expenses as well. So and this, if not for the full scholarship, I don't think I would have taken up the opportunity. So they did offer the full scholarship, and it was a scholarship that is by the UK government. It's called Shevening, and it is a scholarship that they give out to. It is a scholarship that they have a tie up with multiple countries, about more than 100 countries, if I'm not wrong, and they give out the scholarship to select students in those countries. The UK government. So it was the Shevening scholarship. Yes, it was quite good. I think Oxford was an interesting experience. It's a no doubt it is. Everyone says that it's like Harry Potter. So yeah, definitely it is. Anyone who has watched Harry Potter and who has seen those fancy dining halls and the fancy classrooms, everything. A lot of it was shot at that university only. So definitely very bright minds out there. It can also be a very beautiful small little bubble. People are you meet people from a lot of countries, all of that is there, but it can also be a nice bubble that okay, people, you're almost in your bubble where you feel that you're just studying, and you are in this small little city, and you're just that is your universe for then. But the universe
Mm.
outside of that is can be very different. It can be very very different. So I think that way, yes. So it was a good experience.
Mm. Nandita, you also had your portrait hung in the Oxford College Hall. What message does that image send to young girls everywhere? What does it mean to you?
Yes, you asked a very right question. That what message does it send to young girls? For to me, I would only say that for young girls, anyone, whatever their circumstances is at present, don't stop dreaming, and don't stop having ambitions. Don't stop having aspirations for yourself. It is very important that you keep that fire inside you alive, whatever the situation is, and you can definitely do what you aspire to do. I feel that, yeah, young girls need to be taught to have a purpose in life, to have an aim in life. That aim should not, I believe, only be restricted to only getting married, or only getting married, or only having children. Definitely one can,
Yes.
everyone should aspire for all that. I have no problems at all, or I have nothing against that. But also, you can treat that as one important part of your life, but do have other parts of other aspects about your personality as well, whether it is about having a career for yourself, whether it is about having other passions for yourself. It could be, for example, you are hosting this podcast after going through a very difficult scenario yourself. You could have as well just retrieved into your shell and said, oh, I'm not interested, I don't know how people will think about me. Someone, a cancer survivor, coming and talking so openly and hosting a podcast, I don't know how people will react to it. You could have, I'm sure you would have had a lot of thoughts before you went about going public with a podcast like this. Anyone could as well turn in and say, oh, what is she thinking, what is
Yeah.
she thinking at this age? She's
Anyone,
thinking she'll go.
my family, why are you doing this? I said, I'm
Yeah.
doing this because I want to do something constructive with my life. I don't want to be, sit waiting to something to happen to me. I don't want that. So that is why I'm doing this. Yeah.
So,
So,
so anyone can say that, anyone can turn and say anything, but it is, I think, at the end of the day, you should, if you want to do something more meaningful out of your life, if you aspire for that, definitely go for it. And
yeah.
at no point I ever say that I never say the fact that you don't get married or you don't have children. Absolutely, those are also a very important aspect of your life, and
Life, yes.
it is as yeah,
But
definitely.
but it
But
is also
don't
important to live your dreams. Live your dreams,
yes,
right?
don't give
Don't give
yourself
up
up for
because of
that.
any health issue, or because of any circumstances that you're going through, difficult circumstances or challenges you're facing. You need to live your dreams. If you want to do something, go ahead and do it. Yeah. So,
Exactly.
Nandita, can you tell me what are the top three things that need to change in the way India, or for that matter, the world treats infectious diseases like TB?
So in fact, I think the top, if I have to say, top three things, number one is that we need to have a lot more awareness among people to understand what is a contagious form of the disease, what is a non-contagious form of the disease. That fear that is there in people's mind, that even I saw, that there was this evident fear, there was a constant fear amongst everyone that especially among say doctors who said that you don't tell about this to everyone because we don't know, the public may think that we need to keep her away. So
Mhm.
that kind of that attitude has to change, I think.
Yes, the
And
public needs to know that it is not infectious. They need to know
yes,
that tuberculosis is not infectious if it's somewhere else in your body. It's if
yeah,
it's a lung
exactly.
infection and you're coughing and the sputum that, then it is infectious, right? Otherwise, it's
Yes,
not.
yes. Infectious, yeah, exactly. So if you're coughing and yeah, definitely that person, 100% that person, there's onus on that person who's coughing to take precaution to wear a mask and to close his hand, so that basic hygiene has to definitely be followed.
Hmm.
So that onus is 100% on that patient to start following that mask wearing and wearing hygiene. Where it is very similar to Sangita, to the way we saw in COVID. It's very similar to that. You wear a mask, you protect yourself, you use hand hygiene, you wash your hands regularly. All of that is applicable across most infectious diseases. So I think that awareness about how you tackle things, rather than having a feared approach, you have a more knowledgeable approach. That will be very important. Second thing is that we need, I think, a very important second aspect, I believe, is that there is a big intersection now that is happening between these communicable diseases, what you say, and non-communicable diseases, because non-communicable diseases are growing exponentially in India, because as Indian economy is developing, as people are getting more affluent, access to junk food, access to processed foods, access to our lifestyles have gone for a toss, many people, because we are having a lot of Indians are now having a lot of sedentary lifestyles, and numbers in terms of diabetes, in terms of heart
Hmm.
diseases, in terms of stress levels, because of the kind of work life everyone has, our stress levels are through the roof. So whether it is diabetes, whether it is heart diseases, whether it is even any of the non communicable diseases that you say, that is a very big that is a very very big emerging problem in India right now. And that cannot be isolated from the communicable diseases, because of that person who's immunosuppressant, that is the word that you use, who's, because these diseases can also start dimming your immunity. It is for they are also at the risk of developing some of these communicable diseases as well.
Diseases, yes, very
For
true.
example, like you told me, for example, that at some point you were undertaking TB medications for, because of the autoimmune disease. So
Hmm.
you didn't contract TB in the traditional way. People think that,
Hmm.
oh, she's very weak, and suddenly she has started coughing. You just developed it as a
Second, yeah.
side impact.
SLE is a disease where the immune system attacks the healthy organs of the body.
So definitely those intersections need to be, those intersections need a lot more attention, I think. So that is one. And the third thing I think is that we definitely need a better TB vaccine, and a vaccine for a lot of tuberculosis, especially the vaccine that we have right now. It's a very old vaccine. It's nearly 100-year-old vaccine that most of us are given as part of our routine immunization. As a child, we are all administered the BCG vaccination, which is very the BCG vaccination that we all get administered as children as part of our routine immunization. So that is very effective right now in preventing the childhood TB diseases. So onset of TB in childhood at a very young age, the BCG vaccine helps. But at the adult stages, for example, when so many people contract despite having a vaccine today, that is because of the fact that the BCG vaccine is not very effective in tackling TB amongst adults, or that we need
Okay.
a much more effective vaccine.
Mhm.
So there is work that is finally picking up pace. There are a bunch of organizations that are working on it, but we
Okay.
are yet to see a concrete sort of progress in that. It will take some time, but there are definitely organizations.
But
It
let,
is the
yeah.
same logic, I say, as COVID,
Mm.
that because we started the mass vaccination drive, a lot of countries started. That is why we saw that after that, because of what you must have seen in the news as what we call as herd immunity, where a lot of people contracted and then the others
Mm.
also got immunity, as well
Mm.
as a combination of the vaccination drive
Mhm.
that a lot of countries piloted at a very big scale. So all of these started bringing the COVID numbers down to the point that we were now leading a normal life, not under lockdowns and not under the strict isolation for everyone. Someone who
Mm.
gets COVID, like with any infectious disease, has to be isolated for that period. But it is not like earlier that entire countries have shut down, or entire families and entire economies have shut down totally. So that we could come out of that stage because we got an effective vaccine,
Vaccination.
whether all of us,
Mm.
yes, so all of us got
Mm.
administered with the vaccine that helped.
Mm.
And also the fact that the concept of what we call as herd immunity, so these two
Mm.
factors really help. So
Mm.
similarly, it is the same logic for every other disease, that we need a good effective vaccine. So
Vaccine.
similarly, it is for TB as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or for, say, breast cancer, you have the HPV vaccine. So you
Mm.
take it as a preventive vaccine for
Mm.
cervical cancer. Sorry, for cervical cancer.
Yeah, there
So
is a
things like
vaccination now. Yes. Mm.
yes.
Mm. Yeah, so that is a good thing that that you have shared with us, that they are working on a vaccine. They are trying to work on a vaccine which can help even adults to not catch tuberculosis infection. Yeah, right.
Mm,
Mhm.
yeah.
So Nandita, as a woman who turned her pain into purpose, what legacy do you hope to leave behind?
Oh, wow. This is a question that honestly keeps me awake a lot of times, because I always had this thing that I always tell myself that I want to leave a legacy behind. So I want to uh,
You
I think
already
I
have
want to
done a lot, but is there anything more you want to achieve, basically? What are you
I think
presently
for
doing and
me,
what would you
I
like to
want
do?
I want the next generation of girls, boys, whoever it is, but especially next generation of girls to be, if they can draw some inspiration from what I have done or from the life that I have lived, to tackle their own small to big, whatever the scale of issues and troubles that they are having. If they can draw some inspiration from my own journey, I think I'll be very happy about that. Everyone, the point, Sangita, is that uh, everyone goes through some problems in their life at the end of the day. However, whether it is small or whether it is big,
Big.
whether it could be a health problem or whether it could be anything else, it could be something else completely different, that they are maybe dealing with personal issues in their personal lives,
Lines,
or
yes.
it could be anything. So I would want that, I hope that if I can demonstrate to the next generation of girls, that how, if I can demonstrate resilience to them, I think I that will be my that will be something that will make me happy.
Great. Nandita, we'll have a short rapid fire round. Are you ready for that?
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
So
correct.
the answers have to be short, okay, or in matlab, few words,
Yes,
one word or few words, okay. So can we start?
yes.
A quote or a mantra that gets you through tough days.
A quote or a mantra. I think the line that I made for myself, I cannot hear you today, but I'll make sure you hear me loud and clear.
Awesome. One person, dead or alive, you'd love to have coffee with.
Indira Gandhi.
A song you feel more than you hear.
How strong you feel.
A song you feel more than you hear. More than, you feel it more than you hear.
Uh, I'm a very hardcore romantic person. So all romantic songs, I really like listening to them. Yeah. So I would write no sad songs, but I'm a total filmy person. So all of the Karan Johar, all of the Yash Raj movie songs, they totally lit me up whenever I hear them. So yeah, all of them, I'll say.
Oxford or Mumbai, which feels more home?
Wow. Yeah, Mumbai definitely. Right now I'm here. So it's Mumbai.
Idli or chole bhature?
Idli, of course. I like idli.
So, thank you, Nandita, for sharing your incredible journey with us. I feel so blessed and privileged to share your story on my podcast. You're an incredible human being, a brave heart. God bless you. Your courage reminds us that healing isn't just about surviving, it's about rising, speaking up, and making the world a better place for others. To everyone listening, may Nandita's story be a reminder that no matter what life throws at you, your voice, whether spoken, signed, or danced, can change the world. This is Warrior Voices with Sangita, where stories heal, inspire, and transform. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep smiling. Goodbye.
Thank you so much for having me. And I'm really the podcaster herself has an incredibly inspiring life and experience, and I hope to draw lessons from that as well as I move ahead. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much.